Hello everybody, welcome back to my new lecture. Today I'm going to give lecture on the demand curve. Okay, in this lecture I'll explain. First I'll define demand, and I will also distinguish between demand and effective demand. Then I'll show you how to draw the demand curve and movement along the demand curve. At the same time, I'll also explain and show the shift of the demand curve. The law of demand curve also I'll explain in this lecture today. So let us start with the definition of demand. In economics, demand is simply the amount of goods or services a consumer is willing to buy at a given price over a period of time. This is called the demand. Okay. At the same time, demand and effective demand, these two are not same in economics. Okay, so demand, as I said just now, simply the amount of goods or services a consumer is willing to buy at a given price over a period of time. But the effective demand is, in addition to the definition of demand, that means a willingness of a consumer to buy goods or services at a given price over a period of time, plus the ability to pay for it. Okay, so this is extra condition for being effective demand, right? So demand and effective demand are not same. Let's discuss one example also. Say one consumer know the price of this of a product. Say for example, the product is $1. Okay, so at this is the given price. At this given price, the consumer is interested to buy the product, and he is willing to pay also for this, right? So this is his demand, but he does not have money to pay. Say for example, he does not have this $1 for this purchase. All right, so this is not his effective demand, right? It is demand of the consumer, but not effective demand. So for being effective demand must be backed by the financial ability. Okay, so this is called the effective demand. Now let us see the definitions of effective demand and the demand in normal demand. See here, as I said, in economics, demand is consumers' desire to purchase goods and services and willingness to pay a price for specific good or service over a period of time. So the desire to purchase, willingness to pay specific good or service, and given price, these are the main conditions of demand. So let's explain this example. Say for example, the current market price of a t-shirt in a particular market is $2. A consumer is interested to buy 2 t-shirts and is ready to pay $2 for each. In this case, since all the main conditions of demand are present, so this is demand of the consumer. What are the conditions? Say here, specific good is a t-shirt, then the consumer has a desire to purchase it, and he's also ready to pay for it, and price also given. All right, $2 per shirt, so it is given. So this is the demand. Now what is effective demand? Effective demand is the amounts of goods and services people are willing to buy at a given price over a period of time, supported by ability to pay. So here, supported by ability to pay is the additional condition for being effective demand. Okay, so that means in this explanation, there are 4 main conditions for demand: desire to purchase, willingness to pay, specific good or service, and given price. These are the 4 main conditions for being normal demand. For being effective demand, in addition these 4 conditions, one extra condition is supported by the ability to pay. That means the financial ability. Okay. So the difference between demand and effective demand is simply the ability to pay. Okay. This condition, ability to pay, distinguishes between demand and effective demand. So in this example, the specific good is given, t-shirt, price also given, $2 per shirt. and the consumer has a desire to purchase it and also willing to pay for each shirt $2, but he does not have money. Okay, so it is not his effective demand; it is demand only. Okay, now let us move to the next topic: law of demand. The law of demand states that other factors being constant, this is called the ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus means other factors that will affect a variable remain same. Only if one factor changes, what will happen to the other? What will happen? It is called the ceteris paribus. So ceteris paribus condition simply means other factors remain, assuming that other factors remain same. Only one factor changes. Okay, so the demand law is other ceteris paribus. That means other factors that affect demand remain same. At the same, in this situation, if price changes, what will happen to demand? This is demand law. Okay, so as per the demand law, other factors remain constant. This is our assumption. And if price increases of the product, then demand will decrease. See here, we show the upward direction. When price goes up, in reaction to the increase in price, demand will fall. The quantity demanded goes down. So there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. And inversely, when price of goods or services goes down, that means decreases, in response to this, demand will increase. So here, downward direction of price, and here upward direction of demand. Okay, so there is always an inverse relationship between demand and price. Okay, so this is called the law of demand. Let's summarize the law of demand. The law of demand is other factors that affect the demand remain constant, and if price increases, price of goods or service increases, demand will fall, and vice versa. Vice versa means if price decreases, demand will increase. This is called the demand law. Now let's move to demand curve. What is demand curve? Demand curve is simply a line drawn on a graph to show the relationship between price and quantity demanded. So the demand curve, this is shows the relation, simply the relationship between price and quantity demanded. In fact, it is showing the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. Okay, now let me show you how to draw a demand curve. So this is a table given. This is called the demand schedule. As per the schedule, if this schedule is given, that using this schedule we can draw the demand curve. Okay. So here in this table, what we are showing the relationship between price of gasoline and demand for gasoline, for example. So here our specific product is gasoline. Price is also given, demand also given. So using this price and the quantity demanded given, we can draw a demand curve. Say for example at point A, so here vertical axis we are showing the price of gasoline per gallon in US dollar, and horizontal axis we are showing the quantity of gasoline in million. Okay, that means the total amount of gasoline in million. Okay. Okay, so here at point A, when price per gallon gasoline is $5, there is no demand of gasoline, so demand is 0. Okay, at point A, when price is $5 per gallon of gasoline, demand is 0. Now see point B. At point B, when price falls a little bit and it becomes 4.5. Okay, at point B, when price is $4.5, then demand increases from 0 to 40. So at $4.5, the total demand for gasoline is 40 gallon. Okay. At point C, when price is 4, that means price decreased again from 4.5 to 4. then demand increased again from 40 gallon to 50 gallon. Same at point D, when price decreased again 3.5, here demand increased from 50 gallon to 60 gallon. So same thing happens for point E, F, G, and H. H also. H total demand is 100 when it is free. That means there is no price. Okay, so it is when it is free, then demand is 100 gallon. Okay, so this is called the demand curve. Okay. So using this information, price and quantity demanded, we can draw the demand curve in this way. So on the demand curve, each and every point is showing the relationship between price and quantity demanded. And it is obvious that here the relationship between price and quantity demanded is inverse. Why inverse? See here, point A to B, price is falling, but demand is rising. So one variable is falling, another is rising. So this is inverse relationship. Because of this inverse relationship, the demand curve is downward sloping. Okay, so that is why usually we get the demand curve downward sloping, and this is a straight line demand curve. We sometimes are getting curved line also. The difference between this curved line and the straight line is simply to make it easy, simplify the drawing. We usually use the downward sloping straight line demand curve. Okay, so this is the demand curve, and this is downward sloping because of the inverse relationship between demand and price. So this is usual shape of the demand curve, but this demand curve will not stay same in all the cases. There are some exceptions also depending on the elasticity of demand that we'll discuss later in the elasticity chapter. So here we learned how to draw the demand curve and what is the shape of the demand curve. So demand curve is always downward sloping. Normally is downward sloping because there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. Okay, now let us move to the another topic, movement along the demand curve. What is movement along the demand curve? Movement along the demand curve is simply when price changes. Price of goods or services changes, then the quantity of demand also changes. If price goes up, quantity of demand goes down. If price goes down, quantity demand goes up. So this is called the movement. Here we are staying on the same demand curve. Okay, that is what is called the movement. Say in the previous diagram in the demand curve, say here point C. For example, we are now at point C. Here, when the price of gasoline per gallon is $4, our demand is 50. Okay. Now, if price of gasoline increases from $4 to $4.5, our quantity demand falls from 50 to 40. So we are moving from point C to B. This is leftward move. Okay, leftward move. This is called the movement along the demand curve. Okay, on the same demand curve we are moving. And again, if price we are at point C at $4.4 per gallon and demand is 50 gallon, and now if price falls from $4 to $3.5, our demand increases from 50 to 60 gallon. So we are moving from C to D. This is called the movement along the demand curve. So from point A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E, E to F, F to G, G to H, all these are the movement. Okay, this is called the movement along the demand curve. When there is movement, remember, only for price change there will be movement. Okay, if only price changes, other factors remain same, only price changes, it will be movement. And for movement, during the movement, we will stay on the same demand curve. Okay. So here also another diagram we show here. So this is the price P. When price is P at point A, quantity is Q. Okay, this is the initial situation. And when price rises from P to P double prime at point C, quantity falls from Q to Q double prime. Okay, so here we are moving from A to C. Again, if price falls from P to P prime, then demand rises from Q to Q prime. So we are moving from point A to B. So this is called the movement. So moving from A to B is rightward movement, and moving from A to C is leftward movement. So when there is rightward movement, that means demand is increasing Q to Q prime. It is called the expansion of demand. Since demand is increasing, it is called expansion of demand. All right, remember this. Rightward movement along the demand curve is called expansion of demand, and leftward movement from on the same demand curve, say from Q to Q double prime, it is contraction of demand. Since your demand is falling, it is called the contraction. So expansion and contraction of demand depends on the change in price. If price changes, there will be expansion of, if price falls, then there will be expansion of demand. If price rises, then there will be contraction of demand. So this contraction and expansion of demand is related with movement along the demand curve. Rightward movement shows expansion of demand, and leftward movement shows contraction of demand. Okay. Now let's move to shift in the demand curve. What is shift in the demand curve? Shift in the demand curve is simply there is entire movement of the demand curve. That means in this case you will get new demand curve. For movement along the demand curve, we are staying on the same demand curve and moving up or down on the same demand curve due to change in price. Other factors remain unchanged. But for shift in the demand curve, price will remain unchanged, and any other factors that affect the demand will change. In that case, the entire demand curve will shift right or left. So this is called the shift in the demand curve. Okay, say for example here, let us discuss this diagram here where we shown the shift in the demand curve. So this is our initial demand curve. Okay, DD is our initial demand curve. At this here on this demand curve, when price is $4,000 or something, then quantity is $5 million. Okay, so this is our initial situation. We are staying at demand curve D. Now we assume that price of demand is same. There is no change of demand. It is still 4,000. So here, since price is same, any other factor that affect demand, for example, income of the people falls. So if income falls, because income is another factor that affect the demand. If income falls at the same price, people will buy less. So quantity demanded will fall at the same price. So before it was 5 million quantity, now at the same price, since income fell down, now quantity is 4. So the entire demand curve shifted to the left from DD to D1, D1. Okay, so this is called the leftward shift of demand curve. Okay, this is leftward shift of demand curve. Again, if price remains same and any other factor that affect the demand changes, like for example income here, if income increases, at first we showed fall in income, now we are showing the rise in income. So if income increases at the same price, $4,000, demand will increase from 5 million to 6 million. Okay, so entire demand curve is shifting to the right. Original demand curve was DD, and this new demand curve is D2, D2. So this is rightward shift in the demand curve. Here demand increased due to increase in price, sorry, increase in income. And here demand decreased due to decrease in income. So when price changes, there will be movement along the demand curve. Same demand curve will move up or down. But when price is same, any other factor changes, the entire demand curve will shift to right or left. We'll get new demand curve. So this is the basic difference between demand shift in demand curve and the movement along the demand curve. Okay, now so this is all about the demand curve. So in this chapter, at first we distinguished between demand and effective demand. We give example also. Then we discussed the law of demand, and we showed how to draw the demand curve from the demand schedule. And we also explained the movement along the demand curve and shift in the demand curve. I hope this lecture will help you a lot to learn about demand curve. So thank you very much for watching this video and for listening the lecture attentively. So if you face any difficulties, still you can contact me and you can ask me. I'll clarify a doubt and I'll explain it once again. So thank you very much.